Hello, Mark. I'm Candy, and my score number is 30. Today, I'm going to read what I learned as a kid in jail. We need to change the culture in our jails and prisons, especially for young inmates. New York State is one of only two in the U.S. that automatically arrest and try 16 to 17 years old as adults. This culture of violence takes these young people and puts them in a hostile environment, and the correction officers pretty much allowed any or anything to go on. There's not really much for these young people to do to actually enhance their talent and actually re- rehabilitate them until we can raise the age of criminal responsibility to 18. We need to focus on changing the daily lives of these young people. I knew firsthand because I ever turned 18. I spent approximately 400 days on Rikers Island, and the age that I spent almost 300 days in solitary confinement. And let me tell you this, screaming at the top of your lungs all day on your cell door or screaming at the top of your lungs out the windows, it gets tiring. Since there's not much for you to do while you're in there, you start packing back and forth in your cell. You start talking to yourself, your thoughts start running wild, and then your thoughts become your own worst enemy. Jails are actually supposed to rehabilitate a person, not cause him or her to become more angry, frustrated, and feel more hopeless. Since there's not a restructure plan put in place for these young people, they pretty much re-enter society with nothing, and there's not really much for them to do to keep them from recidivism. But it all started with the COs. It's very easy for some people to look at these correctional officers as the good guys and the inmates as the bad guys, or vice versa for some. But it's a little more than that. See, these COs are normal, everyday people. They come from the same neighborhoods as the population they serve. They're just normal people. They're not robots, and there's nothing special about them. They do pretty much everything everybody else in society does. The male CEOs want to talk and flirt with the female CEOs. They play they play the little high school kids games with each other, the politics with one another, and the female CEOs gossip to each other. So I spend numerous amounts of time with numerous amounts of CEOs. And let me tell you about this one in particular named Moran. One day, he put me in between the A and B doors which separate the north and south side of our housing unit. He put me there because I had a physical altercation with another man in my housing unit, and he felt since there was a female officer working on the floor that I violated his shift. So he punched me in my chest. It kind of knocked the wind out of me. I wasn't impulsive. I didn't react right away because I know this is their house. I've no wind. All he has to do is pull his pin and backup will come immediately. So I just gave him a look in his eyes, and I guess he saw the anger and frustration just burning. And he said to me, "Your eyes are going to get you in a lot of trouble because you are looking like you want to fight." So he commenced to taking off his utility belt. He took off his shirt and his badge, and he said, "We could fight." So I asked him, "You gonna hold it down?" Now there's a term that's commonly used on Rikers Island meaning that you are not going to say anything to anybody and you are not going to report it. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna hold it down. You gonna hold it down?" I didn't even respond. I just punched him right in his face and we began fighting right then and there. Towards the end of the fight, he slammed me up against the wall. So while we were tossed up, he said to me, "You good?" as if he got the best of me, but in mind I know I got the best of him. So I responded very quacky. So I'm good, you good? He said, yeah, I'm good, I'm good. With that scale, he shook my hand, said me, gave me my respect, gave me a cigarette and sent me on my way. Believe it or not, you come across some CEOs on Rikers Island, they'll fight you one on one. They feel that they understand how it is. They feel that I'm going to meet you where you're at. Since this is how you commonly handle your disputes, we can handle it in that manner. I walk away from it like a man. You walk away from it like a man. And that's it. Some CEOs feel that they're jawing with you. This is why they have that meditative mentality and that attitude, and they go by that concept. In some instances, we're in it together with the CEOs. However, institutions need to give these correctional officers proper training on how to properly deal with the adolescent population, and they also need to give them proper training on how to deal with the mental health population as well. These CEOs plays a big factor in these young people's life for X amount of time until a disposition is reached on their case. So why not try to mentor these young people while they're there? Why not try to give them some types of insight to make a change? So once they enter back into society, they're doing something positive. A second big thing to help our teens in jail is better programming. When I was on Rikers Island, the huge thing was solitary confinement. Solitary confinement was originally designed to break a person mentally, physically, and emotionally. That's what it was designed for. The U.S. Attorney General recently released a report stating that they're going to ban solitary confinement in New York State for teens. One thing that kept me sane while I was in solitary confinement was reading. I tried to educate myself as much as possible. I read any and everything I could get my hands on. And aside from that, I wrote music and short stories. Some programs that I feel would benefit our young people are art therapy programs for the kids that like to draw and have that talent. And what about the young individual that they're physically inclined? How about a music program for them that actually teach them how to write and make music? Just a thought. When adults come to Rikers Island C74 or in DC, as the building they're housing in, that's nicknamed Gladiator School because you have a young individual coming in from the street thinking that they're tough, being surrounded by a bunch of other young individuals from all of the five boroughs, and everything feels that they're tough. So now you have a bunch of young gentlemen poking their chest out, feeling that I have to prove I'm equally as tough as you, or I'm tougher than you and you. But that's beyond. That culture is very dangerous and damaging to our young people. You need to help institutions and these teens realize that they don't have to lead the previous lifestyle that they led when they were on the street, that they can actually make a change. It said a report that while I was in prison, I used to hear dudes talking about when they get released from prison, what types of crimes you are going to commit when they get back in school, get back in the street. The conversation used to sound something like this. Oh, when I hit the street, my brother got this connection from this, that, and the third. Or my man over here got this connection from a low price that's exchange information. And when we hit the town, we're going to do it really big. I used to hear this conversation and think to myself, wow, these dudes are really talking about going back in the street and committing future crimes. So I came up with a name for it. I called it a go back jail quick scheme because really, How long is that going to last? You get a retirement plan with that? Nice little pension. 401k further B. You got health insurance, dental. But I will tell you this, being judge and being prison, I came across some of the most intelligent, brilliant, and talented people that I ever met. I've seen individuals take potato chips back and turn it into the most beautiful picture frame. I've seen individuals take the steps off that's provided for free and turn them into the most beautiful sculptures that would make Michelangelo look like a kindergarten medic. At the age of 21, I was in maximum security prison called the Mara Correctional Facility. I just came out of the wet shake from walking out, and I saw an older gentleman that I knew standing in the middle of the yard, just looking up at the sky. Mind you, this older gentleman was serving a 33 and a third to life sentence, in which he'd already had served 20 years of that sentence. So I walked up to him and said, "Oh gee, what's going on, man? You good?" He looked at me. He said, "Yeah, I'm good, young blood." I'm like, "So what are you looking at the sky for, man? What's so fascinating up there?" He said, "You look up and you tell me what you see." "Clouds?" He said, "Alright, what else do you see?" At that time, it was a plane passing by. I said, "Alright, I see an airplane." He said, "Exactly. And what's on that airplane?" "People?" "Exactly. Now, where's that plane and those people going?" "I don't know, you know?" "Please let me know if you do, then let me get some lottery numbers." He said, "You're missing the big picture, young blood. That plane with those people was going somewhere while we're here stuck. The big picture is that plane with those people going somewhere, this life passing us by while we're behind these walls, stuck." Even ever since that day, that sparked something in my mind and made me know I had to make change. Growing up, I was always a good smart kid. Some people would say that I was a little too smart for my own good. I dreamed of becoming an architecture or an archaeologist. Currently, I'm working at the Fortune Society, which is a retrain program, and I work with people as a case manager that are at high risk for recidivism. So I connect them with the service that they need once they're released from jail and prison so they can make a positive transition back into society. If I was to see my 15 years old self today, I would sit down and talk to him and try to educate him. And I would let him know, listen, this is me, I'm you, this is us, we're one. Everything that you're about to do, I know what you're gonna do before you do it because I already did it. Because I already did it. And I would encourage him not to hang out with X, Y, and Z people. I would tell him not to be in such place. I would tell him keep your mind in school, man, because that's where you need to be. Because that's what's going to get you somewhere in life. This is the message that you should be sharing with our young men and young women. We should not be treating them as adults and putting them in cultures of violence that are nearly impossible for them to escape. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.